Yeah, come on. Yeah, yeah. When you wake up in the morning and you need a little boost, Lesley Hudson has covered. Inspiration just for you. What an awesome way to start your day on Mocha Chocolate Monday. Mocha Chocolate Monday. Good morning. Hi, you watching Mocha Chocolate Mondays. I'm Lesley Hudson. Just a cup of inspiration to jumpstart your week. And I am so excited. I have a guest here on the show. Mr. Elder Christopher Favors is with me to talk about his book and the upcoming conference that's going to happen in March that you don't want to miss. But today is Monday, March 8th, and I'm glad that you are watching. And last week I started a 5-part series on the Check Your Spirit series, and I talked about the competitive spirit. Well, today I'm going to talk about the controlling spirit. So how many of you know somebody in your life, could be your wife, fellas, could be somebody on the job, it could be someone in your circle who are so controlling, right? I referenced the book Having a Merry Spirit from a conference that I went to in my church some years ago, and I talked about how going through the conference and reading the book really just changed my life and just gave me more insight on the different spirits that are within us. And what Miss Joanna Weaver, the author, talks about in the controlling spirit, she states a controller micromanages people and situations out of a desperate need to know all that's going on. She freely gives advice and expects compliance. Her belief that she must make things happen can lead to weary despair when no one cooperates. Now let's just break that down a little bit. A controller micromanages people. How many of you know somebody that's always trying to micromanage your life? They want to know how you're doing it, why you're doing it this way, because most importantly, they probably want you to be doing it their way. I think that you could be doing it a little bit different, don't you think?
All right.
They do. Right. So they want to control everything. Well, I can state that for me, I was married during the time when I went through this conference. And when I went through this, they talked about the controlling spirit. I was like, wow, I may have a little bit of that going on. Being in a corporate America, managing people and coming home and still having that hat on your head is not a good thing, ladies. One example that I gave Elder a minute ago was pretty much, husband and wife going to the department store to purchase an appliance. Husband is speaking to the salesperson about the appliance and negotiating. Wife steps in and said, well, why? Why are you doing it this way? Why are we buying this one? And why can't we just get this and go? So that woman pretty much spoke out of place, got into that negotiation with the husband and the salesperson, and pretty much should not have been controlling that particular situation. So that was one example I had. But Elder Favors here has written a book called The 14 Women, and I'm going to show you how you can get this book. And the conference that's going to be taking place in March is called Break the Cycle, because you got to know that there's some cycle that's going on with us, right? So it's going to be it's always a cycle. So we're going to break the cycle. But I want to go back to, he speaks about the 14 women, and there's not one specific talks about the controlling women, but in the Jezebel woman, that spirit, it states, when you see women who operate in this type of character, they are possessive, unteachable, domineering, controlling, and uninhabitable. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
A man can't live in peace with this type of spirit. She rules the home, the bedroom, the money, and the relationship. She can camouflage her demeanor to fit any situation to be in control. So I want Elder Favors here to talk a little bit about
that. That was
who
nice
wrote that? Let's talk a little bit about this. And first of all, Elder Favors, thank you so much for being on the Mocha Chocolate Monday show.
Glad to be here.
And if you can tell me a little bit about how, well, we'll talk about this first, and then you can tell me how this book came about, okay?
That is Jezebel chapter. And Jezebel, we tend to forget that Jezebel was married. She was married to a king, and her name actually means "where is the prince?"
Where's the prince?
In the Hebrew. Jezebel was a strong and powerful woman, and she controlled every aspect of the relationship that she had with King Ahab, down to even forging his name, his signature, to buy property.
Okay.
So that type of personality goes back to Genesis, actually.
Okay.
It goes back to actually, if we study Genesis and we look at what happened to us as humans, being the father of Adam and Eve, and you actually look at what happened to the world, mankind, Eve took upon herself to touch the forbidden fruit. When Adam was doing fine and he was minding his own business. I know most women don't like to hear that. They like to say, well, it was Adam should have been paying attention, and
Oh, it is what it is.
so on and so forth. But yeah, it is what it is. Eve took the reins and stepped forward to do something that the man didn't do. So in other words, it's still going forth. The cycle is still continuing where women are much more controlling in situations, probably because of past insecurities, due to childhood traumas. Sometimes they can have an effect.
Well, it could be, don't you think? It could be that when a woman is so used to taking care of ABC.
But it starts way before then.
Way before then?
There's nothing wrong with a woman being independent and strong nature. That's awesome.
Right.
But it's the mindset of the spirit behind what makes you so driven. So we had to go deep psychologically and emotionally to find out why you're so driven that a man can't even stand to live with you for too long because you're trying to control every matter and you want it done the way you want it done.
Mm. I just had just a little bit of that. Let's just clear that up.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Yeah, not all that, but yeah. But in your book, you talked about that woman being, domineering, unteachable.
Yeah, unteachable.
And very possessive.
Right.
So,
in other words, a controlling woman has her own concept and convictions about, and her ideologies about certain things in life that she has accomplished, and she don't want a man to come and change it, even if it's wrong. If her pattern is wrong, she said, "That's the way I've been doing it all my life. I'm grown. You can't tell me what to do." Yada yada yada. So it's very very detrimental that we have to really look at this controlling spirit because it messes up a whole lot of relationships, especially in the Christian circles.
Let's talk a little bit about that because I know you say here, in ministry it's called like you take over spirit, right?
Right. And it's all connected to Jezebel spirit. We in church industry we always say a controlling spirit is connected to Jezebel spirit because Jezebel always wants to be seen. She wants to be heard. She wants to be in control of the situation. She wants the light, but at the same time she pretend to push somebody else in the light. But as long as she behind it and gets the credit,
get the credit for
it. Right, as long as she gets the credit. She wants to be the producer on the album. Where you can do the cover, but I'm the executive producer. I get the credit.
Wow,
that's Jezebel.
All right, so I know some of you know somebody like that for real. Here's the deal. They want to do it their way.
Yeah.
If you can't do it my way, then I got to go. I don't want to play with you no more. It's the highway. Yeah. It's like, take my ball and go home. We're not playing no more.
Exactly. You got to play in my part, my rules, my referees.
Right. You can only go to the concession stand when I take. All right.
My halftime show.
My halftime show. Tell me a little bit about the book and how, what made you write a book about the 14 women? Why are there 14 and not 12? You know what I mean? So how did this come about?
That's a good question, and we really don't have enough time. But I'm going to try to put it in a nutshell. I wrote the book over 20 years ago, actually, and I set it down for years, even through a marriage. And I got prophesied to finish the book a few years back, and that what prompted me to go ahead and finish it. Why 14 women? If you look and study in Proverbs, Proverbs is a book of wisdom and truisms, um, a book of facts about life. And Solomon's mother and his father would tell him wisdom about dealing with women as a king. Because Solomon had at least, 2,000 wives, something like that, 3,000 concubines, so he had women all around him all the time. But the 14 comes from, actually, 14 women comes from Proverbs, and a few other books come from First King. Silly woman comes from First Timothy, Second Timothy. But most of the women come out of Proverbs, actually. And people wouldn't believe the negative women that comes out of Proverbs.
Oh, wow.
I mean, besides, the greatest woman of all, the virtuous woman, which is the last chapter.
Okay, snap on the virtuous woman.
snap on the virtuous woman.
And I'm just going to name give the audience what's on the book. It's angry woman, Jezebel, nagging, the virtuous woman, evil woman, the gracious woman, the wise woman, a contemptuous woman, the adulterous woman, complete woman, the silly woman, the single woman superstar. I want you to talk a little bit about the single woman superstar. Did I name them all? I think the odious woman. And before we talk about the single woman superstar, if you can give women who may have that controlling spirit right now, they may be married, that type of thing, some advice on them, what steps they should, pay attention to and look at so that they won't continue that particular type of spirit. Is there something that you can help them with?
First of all, it takes prayer and deliverance. You have to bind up strongholds and the spirit of bondage that comes over you. Maybe the spirit of fear, maybe the spirit of pride. All those are strongholds. And first of all, I would say prayer and deliverance. And 2, you must admit that you're controlling. That's the first sign of. The second sign and first sign of being delivered, you must admit that you are that way. 3 is find out psychologically and emotionally what's going on in your past to make you so protective and hands-on and micromanaging everything and like almost super paranoid about having things your way. And that really lingers over to me into a spirit of fear.
Really?
Yeah, the same, yeah. Because controlling, you want to control the situation, but because you're fearing if I don't.
Everything's going to fall
right,
down.
Something's going to happen, right.
Coming.
Right, so we have to find out really what that fear is all about as well.
But like I mentioned before, like if you have been raised with a woman, not having that male role model, your dad in the home, right?
Yeah.
In the home.
Right.
And you're used to watching your mother do it, take care of it, because that's what you grew up, that's what you know. So you get married to a man who you have certain expectations of and thinking they're supposed to do A, B, and C. So when the bill don't get paid or whatever don't happen, you taking care of it because that's what you know. That's all you know to do anyway.
I wrote this book as a gift to women. Now, in spite of promotional wise, a lot of times women seem to think I'm going to bash them. And the book is a gift to women. It's a book to lift you up and acknowledge, show you who you are and who you should be at the same time. How God sees you. Not how a man sees you, but how God sees you. It's from the book of Proverbs. But back to that, mothers have a rite of passage to pass on this independent woman to their daughters. And I always say the greatest influence between daughters and mothers is the same sex, the same gender. Your greatest influence is going to be your mother. But unfortunately and fortunately, You got to live with a man one day.
Hopefully.
All right. So you just can't be thinking female-ish without having a male balance. That comes from, like you said, having a single mother raising you. Sometimes on the diet you get is that mother's point of view instead of having the father's side of the diet, saying, hey, a little girl should act like this. A little girl should respond to this when it comes to marriage and to men.
Right. Because if you don't have an example or something to reference to and what the responsibilities are, and you're used to growing up in a home where you see that father, that husband take care of ABC, so you go into a marriage, you haven't seen this. You think you know what's supposed to look like and feel like. You assume that, right. So you go into that, and as soon as something that husband is not doing XYZ, oh, no problem, I got it. But really, in fact, that
goes into the singer superstar woman,
which is what I want to talk about next.
Yeah, that's the woman that she has it all, but she had the white picket fence, the dog, the cat, the truck.
I'm gonna read this, and actually, the single woman superstar is the first chapter in the book, and it says, "This is the woman that says, I don't need a man, or what can a man do for me that I can't do for myself?" That's her attitude. She's the woman that's a superstar in her own right. No wonder she's single, though. Look at her disposition. She can do all things, but she's afraid to give in to a committed relationship and share her power. She's intelligent, politically skilled, but lacks in relationship skills. She's trained professional, but unqualified in heterosexual relationships. She's bright, astute, and very articulate, but can be high maintenance. She has the house, career, dog, cat, and truck, the whole nine, just to make a statement that her balls are just as big as his. She can also be arrogant, standoffish, and she doesn't have too many real friends. Wow. So how many of them you know?
Actually, quite a few. In today's market of women, that's what has been bred through the last, I think, few generations. Women having good jobs, getting good education, a little more so than men.
Right.
And like I say, I love it. I was married to a go-getter. But it's the spirit behind that woman and how it's driving her.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? It's nothing wrong being. My mother was a college woman, and my dad went to school until like fifth grade.
Right.
So she was the true helper to him when it came to bills and counting money, doing things that was meticulous. She was the woman that was a helpmeet to him. She was fitting for him. So these women today are not trying to be a helpmeet. They're looking for a helpmeet.
Instead of being one.
You're anointed as being the helper. And knowing how, and knowing when, and knowing how to help. But women these days are in the spirit, they're in the wrong spirit. Now they're looking for a man to be their helper.
Like, wow.
So they're switching the roles. It's roles reversal.
Wow, I see him, he's doing this, he has this, so that way he can help me get to this point right here.
So in other words, it used to be you're tied down to a job 9 to 5, 10, 15 years.
Right.
Now you're tired of working. You want to find a man so you can start working and do your own thing. So there's nothing really wrong with that. But it gets to the point where sometimes that's not what he's looking for. Because everything has changed now.
You know what? This conversation can go on about relationships, really, because right then when you said that, it made me think about a forum that was downtown about relationships. And a lot of the women, it was so many women there. And of course, we're in Atlanta, Georgia. And of course, you know, we outnumber them 15-1. But
they say that.
They say that. But I'm just saying, I think that a lot of the things that the women were saying is, it's okay. We want to follow you, but you got to be able to lead us. You got to be able to know what it is that you want.
You know what I say about that? I tell women as having a ministry for deliverance to women. I tell women that a man should have a vision He shouldn't know who he. Don't marry no man if you don't know who he is. He might not
That's
have. He
true.
might not
That's
have
true.
not
That's
have
real talk.
obtained it yet. But if he know who he is and know his gifts and talents, know his self-worth, then you can help him. He still got to marry the right woman though.
Yes.
Because if she don't know who she is, she definitely ain't gonna know
You
who
got
he
two
is.
people don't know who they are.
Right. In today's market, you got people marrying each other that don't have a clue who they are.
Mm-hmm.
So it brings out personalities that we don't want to show people. So the minute you feel like your husband is not in control, if you have a controlling spirit that you've been suppressing, it's going to come forth.
It's going to show up and show out.
It's going to come out.
I hear you. Well, ladies, gentlemen, thank you so much. It was just a cup of inspiration to jumpstart your week. I'm Lesley Hudson. This is Elder Christopher Favors. We'll have the information on how you can contact him to purchase his book, The 14 Women, and also how you can attend the Break the Cycle conference that's coming up in March. I hope you've been blessed by this. And next week, we are going to talk about a critical spirit. How about that? A critical spirit.
Always criticize.
Always criticize.
Never please.
Never happy, right?
Never
happy. Uh-oh. Have a good week now. Get my music back.
Okay, cut it off.
It's okay.
Lesley Hudson has a cup of inspiration to spirit. What an awesome way to start your day on Mocha Chocolate Monday. Mocha Chocolate Monday.
Again, thank you. I'm Lesley Hudson. Have an awesome week. Go out there, love yourself, love somebody else, and do what? Always, always, always celebrate life. See you next week.